Welcome everyone to Weekly News and NIDW Minimajor. Tidbit and the topic for this video is
Marcoleta versus Sotto at Hontiveros. Impeachment inarchive ng Senado. In a historic ruling ng Senado with 19 in favor, 4 against at 1 abstain, sa pagtable ng pag-archive ng impeachment ni Vice President Sara Duterte, nakatago na at in all realities, the impeachment of Sara Duterte is now hereby declared functionally dead.
Before the explanations of vote, Chair would first like to make of record the result. With 5 affirmative votes, 19 negative votes, the motion to table the motion of Senator Marcoleta is lost. With 19 affirmative votes, 4 negative votes, 1 abstention, the motion of Senator Marcoleta as amended by Senator Joel Villanueva, adhering to the immediately executory decision rendered by the Supreme Court en banc on July 25, 2025, which among others held that the articles of impeachment are null and void ab initio, and that the Senate did not acquire jurisdiction, and to move to transfer the articles of impeachment in relation to case number 002-2011 entitled "In the Matter of the Impeachment Trial of Vice President Sara Duterte" to the archives. The same is hereby approved.
So ano nga bang dahilan? Bakit pinag-usapan ngayon, a full fortnight or so after the Supreme Court's unanimous decision na nagsasabing unconstitutional ang ika-4 na impeachment complaint na naging impeachment or articles of impeachment laban kay Duterte? Being the only agenda for that day brought up by Senator Marcoleta, he moved to dismiss the impeachment case laban kay Duterte, but it was later revised down to archive o isang tabi at itago muna until further notice at hanggang sa mahukay ulit.
Today, I believe the entire nation awaits the disposition of the matter in regard to the impeachment complaint filed against the Vice President, Sara Duterte. In the light of the recent but unanimous decision of the Supreme Court, Mr. President, when the Supreme Court negates the actions of a co-equal branch of government, it does not assert its superiority. Instead, it upholds the supremacy and the dominance of the fundamental law of the land, the Constitution. And so the Supreme Court has already spoken. The last arbiter of law, it says the complaint is unconstitutional, is void ab initio, is violative of due process. The Senate never acquired jurisdiction over this. It is immediately executory. On that note, Mr. President, I respectfully move that the impeachment complaint be dismissed. I so move, Mr. President.
Ano nga bang pinagkaiba ng tatlong motion? Motion to dismiss by Marcoleta, motion to archive, at motion to table ni Sotto, the impeachment complaint. Una, and this is really funny, walang motion to dismiss sa rules ng Senado. Ang sabi ni Marcoleta, bibaraw niya na lang from the judiciary part or the, impeachment court part.
Mr. President, when the Supreme Court negates the actions of a co-equal branch of government, it does not assert its superiority. Instead, it upholds the supremacy and the dominance of the fundamental law of the land, the Constitution. And so the Supreme Court has already spoken. The last arbiter of law, it says the complaint is unconstitutional, is void ab initio, is violative of due process. The Senate never acquired jurisdiction over this. It is immediately executory. On that note, Mr. President, I respectfully move that the impeachment complaint be dismissed. I so move, Mr. President.
Mr. President, I've been diligently reading and reviewing the rules of the Senate since I've been out of this august chamber for 3 years. Nowhere in our rules can I find a provision on a motion to dismiss. as submitted by the honorable gentleman from Tarlac. Neither is there a supplementary application of the rules of court to offer a space for such motion to dismiss, except perhaps in the committees performing their legislative inquiries in aid of legislation. Obviously, we are now assembled in plenary, not as an impeachment court, but as a legislative body, and I cannot relate to a motion in this plenary to an issue that involves a collective decision that falls solely and exclusively under the jurisdiction and authority of an impeachment court.
Second, ang motion to archive na pagka-revise sa motion to dismiss ni Marcoleta, as said by Sotto, essentially means na mamamatay or that this impeachment article will be hereby declared dead. I mean, yes, pwede pong mabungkal with 5 of the senators agreeing, according to Senator Win Gatchalian. But do we really see that happening? Especially since, thirdly, ang motion to table the impeachment complete naman ay basically just saying na wag muna natin to pagdesisyonan, maghunos dili muna kayo kasi hindi pa matapos yung motion for reconsideration na pinasa ng House of Representatives via Reginald Velasco and Martin Romualdez to the Supreme Court. Wag nyo munang i-dismiss.
A case decided unanimously does not mean that it is infallible. For all we know, it is a unanimous mistake. That again can be corrected by setting aside and reversing prior pronouncements. We shall wait for the resolution of the MR. Please, let us allow and give chance to the Supreme Court to rectify its decision, which contains clear and blatant errors. For their sake and for the sake of future proceedings, let us not dismiss forthwith. And in that light, considering the motion of the gentleman to motion to dismiss, I move to table the motion to dismiss. A motion to table has a higher precedence than a motion to dismiss. Thank you, Mr. President.
Lieu of an interpellation of the good gentleman from Tarlac, I will be seconding a motion, Mr. President, preceded by a brief manifestation. Earlier, Mr. President, Senator Marcoleta said he refuses to speculate on reversal. But the good gentleman's own position is based on his own speculation that the SC will not reverse its decision. A tabling of the motion to dismiss, which is what I will second in a few minutes, Mr. President, a tabling of the motion to dismiss by the Senate today is not defiance of the Supreme Court. Wala pa nga po kasing final na decision. Kahit ang Korte Suprema po, iniintay pa ang comment ng VP.
So ano nga ba ang boses ng mayorya? With the 2 minority senators, Legarda at Zubiri, jumping ship at bumoto to archive the impeachment case.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, the Supreme Court has ruled with clarity. It declared the impeachment complaint not only constitutionally barred, but void from the beginning, and further held that the Senate did not acquire jurisdiction over the matter. This decision, by express pronouncement, is immediately executory.
Honestly, it pains me to vote against my minority floor leader. It pained me and Senator Lauren. But what we are called to do here today goes beyond a simple vote. We all know that, Mr. President. It goes beyond a simple vote. Rather, for me, it's a test of our commitment to our Constitution and the rule of law.
It all boils down to the Supreme Court is the end-all, be-all. Ayan ang sabi nila. Supreme sila and unanimous ang decision. Bihira raw ang ganoong reversal, although it has happened before. Now, according to them, the people voting in the negative is stoking fire. Na magkakaroon tayo ng constitutional crisis dahil sa legislative overreach o pagkukuha ng kapangyarihan ng Senado na dapat ay nasa purview ng Supreme Court, that we should bow down or that they should bow down sa Supreme Court because again, ayon sa konstitusyon, they are the ones that will interpret whether a law unconstitutional or not. They also said na ang Supreme Court is the only court to decide whether one thing is constitutional or not, and they decide to abide at respect the Supreme Court's authority sa kaso. Ayon kasi sa Supreme Court, hindi wholly political ang impeachment case kundi isang legal at constitutional matter with political characteristics na hindi nasunod via technicality ang impeachment. Nagdagdag pa ng rules at pinahirapan lalo ang mga impeachment proceedings sa susunod na mga attempts. May ilan ring nagsasabi na ginagamit lang ngayon ang impeachment as a political tool para mawala ang frontrunner sa 2028 national elections. That if they don't want her to win, they have to beat her without the impeachment. Kaso, again, that's not really what the impeachment is for. The impeachment is for accountability. Okay? Hindi lang porket, talunan nyo na lang siya kung ayaw nyo talaga siya manalo. That's not the point of the impeachment. Pero ang sinasabi nga nila, ginagamit daw ang impeachment na to for their political gain.
Dapat may impeachment pero hindi dapat gamitin ito ng magkalaban lang sa politika. Ayaw natin maging presidente si Vice President Sara, talunin nyo na lang sa 2028.
Are you truly for accountability or simply anti-Duterte? Do you truly respect and want to preserve the Constitution or you simply hate the Vice President? Are you serving the nation's interest or protecting and pursuing your own personal ambitions or agenda? Are you fighting for truth or are you simply after revenge? Do you really want a trial or do you just want a conviction? Do you really believe that we are wrong or do you simply think and feel entitled and believe that you are always right?
Meanwhile, ang apat na bumoto in the negative with two majority senators, Sotto, Hontiveros, Pangilinan at Aquino, isama na rin siguro natin si Lacson. They argued na nung una, hindi dapat ito i-dismiss dahil mayroon pang motion for reconsideration. Umapela ang House of Representatives via Martin Romualdez. Masyadong minamadali kung ngayon pa lang, pinagdedesisyon nyo na kung gusto nyo i-dismiss ang impeachment complaint, hindi pa nga tapos yung motion for reconsideration. Hindi rin nila ina-undermine ang Supreme Court ayon sa kanila. Kundi gusto lang i-table or ipagpaliban muna yung decision to dismiss or archive. Kasi again, may hihirapan kunin ulit kapag na-archive na or even worse, kapag na-dismiss. Never mind the fact na nahulog ata sa misinformation ang Supreme Court when it inaccurately cited a news article galing sa ABS-CBN na clarify rin ng ABS as the Supreme Court decision as the Supreme Court decision bolstered its decision by adding na walang botohang naganap, na they just passed it on and like, pumirma kayo dito, ganyan, okay, boom. So ano ba ang magiging implikasyon ng Supreme Court decision sa Sara Duterte v. House of Representatives? Kung gusto mong mawala ang impeachment threats laban sa'yo, it's actually really easy. Every year, unahan mo mag-file ng impeachment laban sa kaibigan mo. Pag naunahan mo sila, also make it a really dumb and incredibly untrue. Kumbaga, wag mong i-cite yung facts sa pag-file mo ng impeachment sa kaibigan mo para madali siyang ma-dismiss. Maghanap ka ng isang congressman na mag-endorse nito. After the endorsement, that constitutes as a proceeding. Pasok na uli yan sa 1-year bar rule. Rinse and repeat hanggang sa matapos yung termino ng kaibigan mo. Kapag naunahan mo mag-file ang impeachment ng mga totoong tao na gustong mag-impeach sa kaibigan mo at na-endorse agad ito ng isang congressman na kaibigan mo rin, congratulations! Bawal na ulit siya litisin for impeachment for the year dahil sa 1-year bar rule. Kaya naman pala, minabadali ng Senado ang pag-dismiss and later on pag-archive ng impeachment complaint kasi minadali rin ng Supreme Court ang desisyon at ang istriktong rules around the impeachment.
Ang video clip na ito ay galing sa aking series ng News sa Worthy Recap. Check the entire videos for the complete weekly news recap and subscribe to the channel to be kept up to date sa mga local at global news na ang make sure will be interesting to you. Particularly you, whatever your name is. Hindi ko alam, sorry. Salamat sa panonood mga kaparami. Like, subscribe, follow me like sa socials and avoid Joseph that will be linked down below. So susunod, of course, paalam.